You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
Remember that whole deal with the National Association of Realtors and their $418 million settlement? We heard that real estate commissions were just going to plummet, as well as housing prices, because now sellers didn't have to offer buyer's agent commission. So that all that money that they saved, they're just going to pass on to the consumer. Yeah, none of that really happened. How much did commissions drop? They didn't. Let's get into it. Here we go. Remember all these ridiculous headlines? 6% commissions are over for realtors. And is she a coach? Some kind of real estate coach? Yeah, with 78,000 subscribers. Well, that didn't age well, did it? No, not really. Here we go. Realtors. NAR settlement destroys realtor commissions forever. Or not. Or not. Yeah, here, she's the coach. Jackie Kravitz, real estate coach. This did not age well, did it? This was 8 months ago. Did not age well at all. And then we've got NAR settlement. No more 6% realtor commissions. Now what? Everybody was taking a guess of what would happen. Everybody guessed wrong. They guessed wrong. Let's watch a little video that actually portrays what's going on.
Could it change the way we buy and sell houses? Realtors are facing new rules on how they make commissions. It's part of a $418 million settlement against the National Association of Realtors. The Night Team's Patty Santos looked into what this could mean for buyers and sellers.
Newly proposed changes for realtors stem from a lawsuit surrounding commissions.
That commission that they agree to pay me is kind of like the budget that I have to be able to market their home. And I will offer part of that commission to a buyer's agent to bring me a qualified buyer.
Number one, compensation for the realtor representing the buyer will.
So you've got the listing agent side, the side that's got the flag out here, right? Got the listing agent side, then you get the buyer's agent side. Oftentimes that's, whether it's 2%, 2.5%, 3% to each side. The argument has been, well, sellers don't have to pay the buyer's agent, just pay the listing agent. Well, they can do that, they can negotiate that, but who in their right mind is going to say, yeah, no commission to the buyer's agent, let's just make this whole process even that much harder, and we'll just let them negotiate it out. Doesn't happen, because they're having to compete against other sellers who are already offering a commission. And guess what? Those homes are going to get sold first, and they're going to get marketed much more explicitly, because there's more incentive for the agents to get that home sold. Whereas on the other one, if they got to, right at the beginning of the negotiation, they got to go, oh yeah, what about my commission? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. So this whole notion that, commissions are going to drop and housing prices are going to drop. Yeah, no.
Will no longer be listed on the Multiple Listing Services, or MLS. That's a private database created and maintained by local real estate boards.
As a listing agent, you won't be able to say how much compensation you're willing to offer for a buyer's agent. That's something that'll have to be negotiated directly between the agents.
So that's only on the public-facing documents, on websites and stuff out there. It's still indicated on the MLS listing. So, you know what I mean? And this whole notion of not having the buyer's commission, since when is less transparency a good thing? Right?
Change number 2. Starting in July, before any buyer is shown a home, a representation agreement has to be signed between the selling and buying agents.
That is a contract between those two people that says, look, we're working together to try, to reach this common goal and work towards your best interest.
San Antonio realtors we spoke with make it clear sellers have always had the right to negotiate the commission they pay.
Here in San Antonio, we're seeing on average between 4 to 7% in commissions, and that varies quite a bit.
We asked if these changes will impact home prices.
It's not going to impact home pricing at all. Supply and demand is always going to prevail.
Both realtors agree it is not clear how these changes may impact veterans buying a home.
We just need to polish up how the buyer can pay commission, because Right now, like I said, VA homebuyers are not allowed to pay commission. Sellers don't know that. They don't see that side of it. So how else do they get representation?
Despite all the hubbub about the impact of federal court litigation, it appears that real estate brokers in Chicago and across the nation will continue to collect about the same commission as they did last year. So all of that, people getting worked up, I'm going to lose my livelihood. Yeah, that just didn't happen at all. According to a new report from internationally recognized commission analyst Mike Del Prete, there's been no change in overnight in average buyer agent commissions since the settlement went into effect in August. Del Prete is a global real estate tech strategist. Remember, we heard from a coach that said the commission's gone forever. And that didn't end up to be true. So I don't really trust anybody. But anyway, he's a global real estate tech strategist and a scholar in residence at the University of Colorado Boulder. So if you can't do, you teach. Yeah, because in real estate, you're going to make way more money than any teacher ever will. But you got to get out there and do it. So you can't be sitting behind a desk and you can't be getting quoted for articles. On November 28th, the federal judge granted approval of a $418 million settlement to resolve litigation against the National Association of Realtors. Real litigation was brought on behalf of some sellers, resulted in to broker commissions. Attorneys said they expected the litigation would lead to changes in real estate brokerage community that result in lower commission fees because agents would be forced to compete on service. Well, they've always been forced to compete on service, and you can always offer less. Everything is always negotiable. So none of this was, anything earth-shattering. In fact, the fact that people thought things were going to change dramatically, that was kind of the funny part. Because if you've been doing real estate long enough, you realized this is just much ado about nothing. Del Prete's research reported that average buyer agent commissions nationwide were 2.62% when the settlement was announced on April 24th. And then August 24th, commissions averaged 2.59%, almost identical to what they were before. So what happened? Where's all this huge buyer commissions that's gone away? What happened to that? Sellers understand that if they don't offer commission to the buyer's agent, there's going to be no incentive for that agent to show their home. Period. Full stop. Mic drop, right? Big part of the commission lawsuit was about consumer selection, replacing a default path with more transparency and more choice around buyer agent compensation. Well, without the fact that, buyer's agent commission is no longer available online, so that you've even got less transparency. So, you know what I mean? The evidence to date doesn't support the hype around this being a seismic shift in the industry. There was no shift. There literally was no shift. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. Consumers still value a buyer agent the same way as before. And if they want to get their home sold, they will offer what other competing sellers who are selling their homes are offering to their cooperating buyer's agent, right? That's the way the game is played. So literally nothing changed. Some wording changed. You know what? In the buyer's agency agreement, so you're going to work with the buyer, I don't think it's a horrible thing to get an agreement, to have something on paper. It's just not that big of a deal. It actually protects you as the buyer's agent from the standpoint of, that, there's a high probability if you're the procuring cause of the transaction, you can collect. You can, you got something to go after them with. Whereas before, when you didn't have a buyer's agreement with your buyer, that buyer can just absolutely stick you. Buyers are liars. That buyer can absolutely stick you and you've got no recourse. Now you've got a little bit of paper tiger to show them, hey, you signed this agreement. I'm going to hold you to it. You can go down that road. The National Association of Realtors is now requiring real estate brokers to enter into written agreements. And I don't think that's terrible. It's not terrible. So the landmark federal verdict found National Association of Realtors and several large brokerage firms conspired to artificially inflate commissions on home sales. You know what? I disagree with that. But there was a lawsuit and there was a payout. So, you've got this settlement agreement. Okay. Settlement will be paid over about 4 years, about 21 million home buyers, and each home buyer will get about $2 I have no idea what it is. It's not going to be that great. Will be eligible as long as the home was listed on the MLS before December 31st. Commission was paid. Final settlement, $418, which after attorney's fees will likely be as low as $13 per seller. $13. 13. Not even lunch for one person. $13. Brokerage commissions typically are paid by home sellers. Commissions are generally in the range of 5 to 7%. Most of all our commissions here in Bellevue are 2.5, so 5. Or some variation of that, maybe 2.5 and 3, maybe, on the higher priced properties, multi-million dollars, maybe it's 2 and 2, but, commission on an $8 million home, those numbers are still good as well, right? But a lot of it is 2.5, and occasionally it's 3 and 3, depending on, where you are within the market geographically. So when a buyer is represented by a realtor, the seller's agent usually agrees to split a portion of the commission with the buyer's agent right on the listing agreement. Here's what I'm going to pay the listing agent. Here's what I'm going to pay the buyer's broker. It's just all dialed in. And you know what? So much of this, my MLS and I almost said Pacific Northwest Multiple Listings, PSMLS. It's what it used to be, but now it's just a Northwest Multiple Listing Service. You know what? You've been able to negotiate for several years. The seller can offer no commission. They could do that. They've been able to do that preemptively. Our MLS went to that system years ago. And it's been out there for multiple years. And so it's been an option for the sellers to do that. But just because it's an option doesn't mean it's a good idea. And just because it's an option doesn't mean a seller is going to do that. So that's literally what happened. Sellers went, you know what? My end goal here is to sell my home for as much as possible in the marketplace. I'm just going to let my listing agent do his thing, her thing, and then the cooperating buyer's agent, I'll pay them market rate, which whatever that is, 2.5, 3%, whatever that is, that's what I'm going to pay them. And so that's literally what happened. And because if it bleeds, it leads is a story, this whole concept of realtors are going to go out of business. Yeah, that just didn't happen at all. Not one bit, not even a tiny little scooch. Just didn't happen. Didn't happen. Because if you really want to, bring a deal to its knees, have the seller negotiate. Have the seller put $0 down for the buyer broker commission and see how that works out. If you want that to be on your listing, if you're the listing agent and you want to be responsible for that within the transaction, I say go ahead. I want to watch how that works out for you. Yeah, most brokers won't do that. I've got somewhere around 100 brokers here at Summit Properties Northwest. We've had none of that. We've had sellers talk about, what if I offer nothing? Well, then just go ahead and pull a gun out and shoot yourself in the foot. Go ahead and do that because it's going to have about the same impact. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, then don't. Go ahead and, do what everybody else is doing. Give yourself the most competitive edge, which is pay people what they're worth based on the time they have into the transaction, into the industry, all that good stuff. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.